Yesterday, Nigel Farage had an interview with Nick Ferrari on LBC, and as you can imagine, it was a lot of backslapping and no pushback from Ferrari. Half an hour's worth of carefully selected easy questions, but he was caught out a couple of times. A caller who was allowed to be put through asked him why he didn't vote against the winter fuel allowance, to which he tried to claim that he did, but unlike GB News, where he can just say what he likes and have his nodding donkeys alongside him, Parliament keeps receipts, so it means you can actually see what they voted for.
Morning, Nick. Morning, Nigel.
Good morning.
Nigel, I know you appreciate the importance of people using a vote when they have one, and obviously with the local elections, that's going to be key for you, that people come out and vote for what they believe in. Can I ask, why did you abstain from the vote for the pensioners' winter fuel payment?
I didn't.
You did. There's a list online of everyone who voted, and you're the only person who didn't vote.
I can assure you,
who's not listed on that government list.
I can assure you.
We'll come back to you, Julie. Nigel Farage.
I can assure you, for that vote, I was there and I voted against. I voted against. On the substantive vote, I voted against. Absolutely.
I'm on a parliamentary website. You're down as no vote recorded, Mr. Farage.
Well, there were two votes that day. I was told one was substantive and one was irrelevant. And on the substantive one, I voted against.
So you voted on one and you didn't vote on the other, just to clarify.
Because it had no force of law. It was a Conservative Party motion.
All right.
It's clear that he only wanted to be an MP for the media attention, and that it was because another lie he claimed that the Speaker's office had advised him not to hold surgeries, which in all honesty does sound plausible. He's a high-profile figure and not very well liked, so the chances of something actually happening to him are quite high. But why not just be honest about it? Instead, he tried to lie, saying that the Speaker's office had told him not to do surgeries, which was quickly debunked later on in the day.
Do you now have an office in Clacton, and how many surgeries have you held there since elected?
Oh, very good. You must have been briefed with the Daily Mirror, David. Well done, you. Mark, where do you live, David?
Manchester.
Oh, I'm pleased that Clacton's so keen for you. Do I have an office in Clacton? Yes. Am I allowing the public to flow through the door with their knives in their pockets? No. No, I'm not.
Why would the people of Clacton want to flow through the door with knives in
their
pockets?
They did in Southend. And they murdered David Amos, and he's a far less controversial figure than me.
Right.
David, I'm dealing with
David,
I'm dealing with emails and phone calls with Clacton residents every single day. Although I have to be honest, I've been so overwhelmed with the thousands of emails that I've had that putting together an office, putting together a team, and attempting to get through the backlog is one hell of a job. I am doing some Zoom surgeries.
Right. You won't be doing physical surgeries in Clacton?
Not yet.
Do you envisage that you will eventually?
When Parliament allows me.
Why is Parliament blocking you?
Have a guess.
Have you been advised for your own security not to hold surgeries?
I would have thought that would make sense, wouldn't you?
Who was that advice come from?
Well, the Speaker's office.
Lindsay Hoyle's office.
And beneath the Speaker's office, there is a security team who give advice and say you should do some things and not do others. So we're not in a fit state to do the old-style surgeries. But you know what, David? If you've got something to say to me as a Clacton resident, actually Zoom is not the end of the world, is it?
And finally, Nick Ferrari allowed Farage to have a pop at James O'Brien. Never forget that James O'Brien is Nick Ferrari's work colleague, so you would have thought that Ferrari would have stopped him. Regardless of their political views of each other, they still have to work with each other. Yet Ferrari allowed Farage to go on the offensive without any pushback or challenge. However, James O'Brien did get his revenge in one of the most epic takedowns I've ever heard. And my understanding is that Farage was still in the room when he said it.
Do you want to apologise for anything you said now?
No, I wish I'd...
the Farage riots by some people.
No, that was that moron.
They are called by some
that was that moron, O'Brien, that comes on this channel after you, and no wonder my security detail's as big as it is. It's because of people like him.
I have to ask you to expand on that.
Well, when you spread hatred and you spread lies, you anger a lot of people.
Thank you, Nick. The time is approaching 10 o'clock and, well, there's a lot to get through today. For example, have you ever had violent race riots named after you, or indeed been accused by the head of the Met of emboldening the racist thugs responsible? Has your vile and ignorant rhetoric ever helped instigate attempts to burn people alive? in their beds? Have you ever cited a self-described misogynist facing rape and people trafficking charges in Romania as a trustworthy news source for events in the UK? Or described yourself as part of a similar phenomenon to him? Have you ever helped a convicted woman beater get elected to the UK Parliament? And have any newly elected MPs spent more time in America getting binned off by Donald Trump than they have in their own constituency? And what would you call someone who answers yes to all those questions?
Sometimes Farage does try to hold people to account. It's not very often, and he did try to get Esther McVeigh to apologise. But did she? Well, you can find out the answer to that in the video that's on screen now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.